So, in a few minutes, Arianespace is supposed to start their stream. In theory. Previously, they said they'd start 20 minutes to, the thing. And now they're all like, well, I guess we're going to start on the hour. So now is the time where I get all my crap together. Excuse me while I pull up all the windows I need pulled up. Do. So I'm assuming I sound okay, Paranor. Hey, whatever. Yay, thank you. This green screen thing is still weird. And I have Cheerios for the dogs. I didn't set up any Nightbot commands or anything. Waiting for Arianespace. Arianespace? Arianespace. See? This is what I was afraid of. They're like, yeah, we're going to start it on the hour, but now we're going to wait for them. There's a terrible part of me that wants to play Astroneer until they're ready. A terrible part of me. I picked up where we left off from the other night, and I managed to lose the booster that would have gotten me back off that planet and back home. So I had to build everything up, and that was an experience. So instead of just sitting here and going la la la, I don't know what's happening, let's look at their Twitter. Because maybe there's info on the Twitter. Yeah, alright. The cast doesn't begin until 20 minutes prior. So, yeah. Alrighty then. I guess we can play some Astroneer. Summer maracas and green grass skirts. I don't know. Need a pre-show? No. I'll play Astroneer as a pre-show. I'm just trying to figure out how I'd make that happen. Reflect that we're waiting for that on the screen. So I think best is just slide some things over. Like that. And probably should have added it. Let's discuss the mission specs. I know it's on a Soyuz. And I know it's a weather satellite. I know it's the third of 3. And I know it's in a sun-synchronous orbit. I do not think I can talk about random stuff like this for 20 minutes. I'm a little worried about it. And I'm still going to set up text that says, hey, we're waiting for, you know, waiting for the pre-show. I saw you wrote something, I just can't read it. Yeah, I don't think I do not know enough about any of this. It was fun. It was exhausting. Yeah, the command is still there. I haven't gotten rid of it yet. Let's see. We're waiting on... Donations are still coming in? Are we higher than 625? $635. That's nice. I upped my personal goal, but I saw that most people that were donating were just donating to whoever popped up on top, and that happened to be Nancy, which is fine. Which is fine. Guess I can slide this over here. Oh, wait. That's cool and annoying.
This is the English soundtrack from the Guyana Space Center in Kourou.
I can still hear it. You shouldn't be able to hear it. Oh my goodness. It is so annoying. There. It's muted on my end too. Right. Add scene. Wait, we have video. I think. Let me unmute. So they gave us something to watch.
Soundtrack from the Guyana Space Center in Kourou.
It still counts as something to watch, rather than me going, I'll set up my Astroneer, you know, stream.
This is the English soundtrack from the Guyana Space Center in Kourou. This is the English
Oh, thank you. Well, that's a bummer that you lived in Florida and didn't get to see a launch. I had the opportunity when I was in high school, but it was a marching band field trip to Disney, and we were already booked pretty tightly, and it was just, we would have had to get up so early, and it was a last minute thing, and I am a little ashamed to admit that I was the one that was just like, no, we're not doing this. But to be fair, this was like it wasn't Columbia. It was before like the other major disaster. So launches were like all the time. It was a common occurrence, not a big deal. And I was just like, I'll see these later. So we might actually have to pull up something else because this is a little annoying. I'm trying to add my scene thing. Where is it? There it is. Yep, there we go. Transition. Yeah, silliness of youth, but you know, we ran pretty ragged, so I kind of don't regret it. Like, not at all. So, you know, what you gonna do? Alright, so we are going to... I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna launch Astroneer while we're waiting, because that just seems like the thing to do. It's related, right? Right? Actually, Kerbal would probably be a better one, but I'm not as good as Kerbal at Kerbal. I'm going to crash everything in Kerbal. There goes the advert wheel again. KSP to have to find or build the ESA model. I mean, I think I'll set that up for later. I can totally definitely set that up for later. Let me rearrange all the things. And right now I'm just making this so I can... Oops, no. I am failing at this so terribly. Or did they go black? I think they went black. So terribly. Why is it flipping to my new stuff? Oh, I know why. Because I need a new full screen media thing. Oops. Oops. Let's try this again. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. I think right now I'm just more annoyed that I'm already in raring to go and there's nothing but the test stuff to really do. So, and there we have it. Let me mute. Yep, that's muted. So let me unmute desktop audio. So you can hear the pretty game. And because I have the thing in the other window, I should be able to see everything okay. But still, Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, starting now.
Alexa is my savior. So hi! If you're just tuning in, I'm waiting on, you know, the Arianespace stream, and I have a feeling I'm mispronouncing that. But I'm waiting for the rocket launch stream to not be in testing mode. So until then, which is probably about 10 minutes, we're gonna play Astroneer, which I felt was appropriate. I was discussing with Paranor about how Kerbal Space Program would probably be a tiny bit more appropriate, but it would all be fails. So we got a timer set, I got the thing in the other window. We're just gonna play Astroneer, and this is a game that was started the other night on the Extra Life stream. And I have built up a ton since then. There weren't all of these modules before. I have a chemistry lab. Right there, it starts, it's hard to see. I have a shredder. I have a soil centrifuge. I have a thing to do research in, which is empty. And I have a thing that collects gas from the atmosphere, which I think is essentially stalled because there's no power and I ran out of storage space. So, since we need to put some research thing in the thing, we're gonna grab this creepy looking research thing in here. And yeah, I'm off the tether, but I still expect to be okay. Shouldn't be gone for too long. This will be the first rocket launch I've streamed. They're letting me do the thing, which is kind of scary because I do not have as much astronomy training as like Dr. Pamela. By no means do I have as much astronomy training, or Matt, or like anybody on the team. I know enough to get myself in trouble. Oh no, I'm out of fuel. When it starts, we're not going to be any sunlight. And okay. And wind isn't kicking in. I don't really like how this is set, but I don't think I really have a choice. I guess I can fix that. I'm hoping they'll start when we said they'd start. And then we'll have those whole things. whining about, oh my god, start already. You know, they've been doing all sorts of other things to it. And yes, for those of you keeping track, we are still technically on hiatus, but we are going to cover kind of like one-off things like this, like rock launches. And obviously, we just finished Extra Life, which I just finished recovering from. Pretty good job. We originally had a $1,000 goal, and we got 1,600. Karen Orr said donations are still pouring in, which is super cool. Not expecting that. I met my personal goal, and $100, and I know I lifted it up to 150, but I haven't really been pushing for it since I pushed it up. So I'm not really too sure what's going on there. Let's see, I need resin for this. Oh, that's right, I died. That's right. My body's way, way out there. I died in a sandstorm. A rock hit me across the head. But because I can find myself. So we're gonna run out on the tethers and get my stuff. Let's see, other rocket launches that are coming up. NASA is launching Icon tonight, or early this morning, which is, I think it's another weather type thing, but they're doing an air launch instead of launching it, you know, from the ground using a rocket. So Icon's going to be attached to the underside plane, which looks super neat. And I might do that one as well. I haven't fully decided yet. Because that's a kind of a long time from now. And at some point I do need to make sure. Let's see. Things like that. So, I'm just collecting clay right now in Astroneer. Not a whole lot of exciting things to watch. But I figure this is better than watching the same terrestrial over and over and over and over and over again. This is something, you know. Like, I think I'll set up KSP for my next rocket screen. It's all played here. It is. It says there's ammonium there. It's fine. There's no ammonium there. So that base. All the tethers along. We have about 5 minutes before they're supposed to start doing their thing. Not sure what that is, but the backpack's pretty much full. So Oh, now it's done research. Alexa, cancel. Windows overpowered now. Let's just... How's that? Is that better? Probably a little hard to tell. I don't know if I can really tell either. The wind is super annoying. Maybe OBS adjust. Oh, it should be easy. Here, how about that? That's an easy fix. And the doggies have their opinions. Oh, the waiting screen changed. But it's still that stripey 1, 2, 3 thing. But with about 2 minutes to go, I think it's safe to... Yeah, it's a test pattern. Hey! Oh my, things are happening. See if I can tap fast enough. Things are happening. All right, we have something that's not a test pattern. This is kind of exciting. Countdown with the game sounds is interesting. Well, there's no sound to their countdown. I like their countdown. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna screw with everything because it wasn't full screen on the window it needed to be full screen on. But now it is. Yeah, seems like it. No, I do not have a hand tattoo. I think it's just the lights and the camera. No tattoos. Yeah. I mean, I said that it was set up. I didn't say it was set up perfectly.
Welcome. It's a hot and partially cloudy night here at the Guyana Space Center, where you join us live for the launch of a meteorological satellite, MetOp-C, for EUMETSAT. It's going to help us with accurate weather forecasts and a better understanding of Earth's climate. Right now, it's inside the launcher on the pad waiting for liftoff. That's scheduled in about 19 minutes' time. I'm in the Mission Control Center here. We're about 26 kilometers from that pad, and the operational team's focusing hard here in the fishbowl, we call it, the glass behind me. We are flying on board a Soyuz rocket tonight, flight number VS-19. She's made of 4 sections. We call those stages. She stands 47 meters tall and weighs in at 312 tons. And inside the top of the launcher is our satellite, MetOp-C. Inside what we call the fairing, you can sit. If we cut open the fairing and take a look inside, there it is. That's what it looks like, weighing in at 4 tons, roughly, and built by the prime contractor Airbus Defence and Space for EUMETSAT, which provides essential data to meteorologists all over the world, and that is where we are going now, because EUMETSAT are hosting a live event tonight for the launch with a raft of experts and some of the teams from Arianespace, and we're going to go over to them now. Monica Jones is with them. Just bear with us, there's a slight delay on the line as we're bouncing over 2 satellites. But hello, Monica. How's it looking over there?
Hello, Katie. Whether there is a delay or not, we could hear you very well. And a big hello here from the council room at EUMETSAT headquarters in Darmstadt. I don't know if you can see it because it's dark in the room, but our room here is jam-packed with people eager to see the liftoff of MetOp-C. And if the camera can show them, we've rehearsed that before. We all wave and say hello to Kourou now. So this is for you, Katie, and the team in Kourou. And of course, we're not here on our own. We also have some very important people here also on stage. For example, the CEO of Arianespace. He's not in Kourou. He's here with us in Darmstadt, Stéphane Israël, and of course, our host, EUMETSAT Director General Alain Radier. But Stéphane Israël, tell us a little bit about today's mission, if you would.
Yes, so today's mission is very important for us because it will be the 13th satellite we are going to orbit for EUMETSAT. The first one was in 1981 with Ariane 1, so it's a long history we have together. We have orbited METOP-A and METOP-B in 2006 and 2012, and tonight is the night of METOP-C.
And the next few hours, not the whole night, what's going to happen?
So maybe what has happened in the last hours, we have 5 hours ago made the decision to fill the rocket. We have made this decision on the basis of the readiness of all systems, but also on weather forecast, which are very positive for tonight. So the rocket has been filled, and now in a few minutes at 9:47 Kourou time, we are going to launch the rocket. The mission will last a few seconds more than 1 hour. We will lift off towards the north, which is not usual because usually when we go to GTO we lift off towards the east, but for polar orbit we lift off towards the north. We will have during 9 minutes the flight of the 3 stage. After these 9 first minutes there will be the separation of the frigate, and then the frigate is going to work for 51 minutes with 2 burns, and the separation will occur after the second burn, and we will deliver the spacecraft at an altitude of 817 kilometers.
And why, Alain Radier, is all of that important for EUMETSAT?
For EUMETSAT, first of all, it's the last satellite in a series, and this is always a very important satellite to prepare the transition with the next generation. And as you know, we are already developing this new generation with ESA. It's METOP second generation, but METOP second generation is a pair of satellites with different instruments on each one. And in fact, the full pair will be deployed and available and operational in orbits in 2024. So you understand how important it is for MetOp-C to work until then and beyond. It's also very important for us because, as explained already, we will, for the first time, operate a constellation of 3 satellites. And it's not so easy. Mike Williams said they work alone together, but he's very modest. We have developed a new ground segment, and one of the stakes of this new ground segment is also to operate at the same cost as if we had only 1 satellite. So that's also a technical challenge.
Sure. And we've just heard some user experience. I mean, what does this launch tonight mean for the Met community?
I think you have heard so much that I would not repeat, but maybe I can translate the impact on weather forecast into socioeconomic benefits, because we have done a number of studies on this. And today, the socioeconomic value of forecast in the EU is more than 60 billion euro per year, out of which we can attribute 5 billion euro per year to these satellites. So you see what is at stake.
We're
it's not
getting
only
ready to
know
watch
whether
the launch
it would be good to go to the beach in
MetOp-C, which
but
is
it's
the
also very
third of
important for the
3
economy. There is no civil aviation without
weather
this type
satellites.
of forecast. You have heard the cyclones.
A lot of everyday things that we need for the economy depend on the data we get. And in order to get the data, we need a lift-off. And for that, not quite yet for the lift-off, but for joining the Arianespace program again, I would like to hand back to Katie at Mission Control Center in Kourou. Katie, over to you.
Thanks very much indeed, Monica. Yes, indeed, we are roughly about 12 minutes to launch now, just a little bit over. And we have with us here in the Mission Control Center the senior consultant here at EUMETSAT, Mark Cohen. Mark, thanks very much indeed for coming to the floor. Mark, it's been quite a few years getting ready for today to launch MetOp-C, but we are on the pad, so does that mean you're ready?
Oh, yes, we are completely ready. The launch campaign has been very long, has involved a lot of teams from industry and from agencies, also with the launcher team, but we are ready today. Today we have a green status.
Yeah, I was going to
You're ready
say,
to fly.
years and years and years of getting ready. Yeah, they
better
better be ready for today.
Your colleagues at the event in Darmstadt at EUMETSAT. Any messages for them?
Oh, the message is that we are prepared the satellite here with a lot of care. It's going to be launched tonight, and then it's going to be handed over to them. And the first 2 satellites were very successful, and the third one will come over and will bring its contribution, which is expected by the member states and by the users. So that's the message.
Great, and of course we've been hearing how important MetOp-C is as a part of the threesome. But just briefly, we often talk about satellite campaigns and projects as being teamwork, but this has really been a big collaboration effort, hasn't it?
This program was built around cooperation, so cooperation with the worldwide, with the United States, with the exchange of instruments, data and services, but also in Europe with industry, but with ESA, with National Space Agency like NES for some instruments.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. I'm going to send you back now to your place in the fishbowl behind us to continue your operational work. Now, a number of teams here at the Mission Control Center and a couple of key people who we need to look out for. And that was the range operations manager who just announced a key milestone there in the launch. It's the last 10 minutes and 20 seconds before launch when the frigate upper stage, as you remember I said, the vehicle is divided into 4 stages. The upper stage is called frigate, and that has now entered the final phase of its launch sequence. And those operations are being reflected in the status panels that you can see there on the right-hand side of your screen. The computers are now handling a very complex set of operations. And those are shown here, all the systems showing us. Red is stop and green is go. So right now we are go for launch. Now we have a 1 hour journey ahead. We're going to take a look now at what's going to happen.
For the English telecast.
After a 9 minutes and 20-second flight, the action of the 4 boosters, the second and third stage, shall position the upper stage frigate and MetOp-C for a first burn at 10 minutes and 24 seconds after liftoff, lasting 3 minutes and 16 seconds. Will follow a ballistic phase of 38 minutes and 43 seconds. A second burn will occur at 52 minutes and 23 seconds, lasting 1 minute and 15 seconds. This will be followed by the ballistic phase lasting 6 minutes and 30 seconds. MetOp-C will be released into the dedicated orbit 1 hour and 18 seconds after liftoff.
The satellite arrived here at the Arianespace Center on the 26th of June, and teams have been preparing ever since then for today, apart from a break over the summer holidays. So it's been quite a long launch campaign. The launch campaign is what we call the process of preparing the launcher and the satellites for today. And we're going to get an overview now of some of the activities that the teams have been doing during the launch campaign.
Mine might be set to the wrong time. I'm tempted to turn it off, but
the launch campaign has started with the arrival of the first Antonov cargo plane on the 19th of June. The spacecraft arrived on the second and third cargo plane in 3 different containers and was transferred to S1 payload facilities with ground support equipment. Mechanical and electrical checks have started right after the arrival in S1. Spacecraft projects at the standby period during the summer, then final preparations were performed before spacecraft transfer to S3 fueling facilities on the 2nd of October. MetOp-C has started propellant filling operation on the 8th of October. Fueling operations were performed until the 11th of October. Combined operations with launcher have started on the 19th of October with flight mating on payload adapter.
I'm amused by this.
MetOp-C was transferred onto the frigate stage on the 25th and encapsulated under fairing on the 30th of October.
In parallel of the frigate preparation, the 3-stage underwent the standard pneumatic and electrical tests in the MIG building, the facility for the launcher integration and testing. Also, additional mechanical controls were performed, which involved dismounting of the lateral boosters and the reattachment on the record stage. As elements of the next Soyuz launchers were already deployed in the MIG building, some complementary movements of the launcher blocks had to be performed to allow the operations for up to 3 Soyuz launch campaigns in parallel. The rollout of the 3-stage from the MIG building and transfer on the launch pad has been performed on D-3 last Friday, as well as the transfer of the upper composite with MetOp-C and frigate from the S3B onto the launcher. Dress rehearsals of the spacecraft, the 3-stage and frigate were successfully performed on D-2 and E-1. Once the ground installations and the launcher are prepared, we should conclude with the fueling of the launcher starting at H0 minus 4.5 hours and the final chronology phase before liftoff. A special thank you goes to all the operational teams for their huge efforts and contribution to take us through this very smooth launch campaign.
The Soyuz Launch Readiness Review held on Monday, November the 5th, authorized the beginning of the final chronology today to launch the VS-19 mission.
So I'm back in my commentary box now, which is in the Mission Control Center, and we are 5 minutes 36, 5 seconds to launch. And we actually have 2 synchronized sequences. The first one we saw earlier for the frigate upper stage has already started, and we're coming up now to the start of the final phase of the synchronized sequence for the main launch vehicle, so the first 3 stages. That's at 5 minutes and 9 seconds. So what we're looking at here is the outside of the Jupiter Control Center, the Mission Control Center, the nerve center, if you like, of the spaceport.
There's not a lot to talk about.
And this,
where is there?
These are the teams inside there.
Everybody looks this weird combination of tense and excited.
Now, every launch zone has
I really
a
hope
launch
nothing goes
control
wrong.
center, and this is the launch
They have
control
a pretty
center
good
for
launch record from what
Soyuz.
I
We
remember
have a
researching
number of
online.
different teams working in here. And of course, because Soyuz is a Russian rocket, we have joint Russian and European teams working side by side. And the teams in here are responsible for everything to do with the launcher, the rocket, and the launch base. So making sure that the launch site operations are all done correctly, and being responsible for the flight readiness of the vehicle. In Baikonur, in Kazakhstan, at the Cosmodrome there, the Launch Control Center is actually in several bunkers underground. That's about 50 meters from the pad. Here, at the Arianespace Center, it's in a protected building, 1 kilometer from the pad. Our passenger MetOp-C is the last in the current series of METOP satellites, as we were hearing, waiting up there inside the vehicle for liftoff. A joint program of EUMETSAT and the European Space Agency, along with their partners, the French Space Agency CNES and the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA.
So, if you've been trying to chat, you should be able to chat now.
When we get to look at the rocket, actually you can see it on the screens, there we have it. Have a look at the bottom, you can see those 4 swing arms there are blue. Now they are holding the launcher suspended over the flame trench on the pad, and they stay in place because the weight of the launcher is on top of them. But of course, as it lifts away, they will swing away thanks to counterweights.
Hey, Zinc!
On the back of them, you can see
How
them
are you
there.
doing?
At the bottom of the swing arms, you can see the yellow cylinders. Those are the counterweights. Right, he's just announced that we have separated the umbilical lines, which are actually inside that grey mast, so you can't see them. The grey mast is called the KZM, and it houses all the connections, electrical, etc., connecting the upper parts of the launcher to the teams on the ground. And then underneath it is another mast called the VKM.
Yeah, and for those of you that
hosting a whole set of other connections, we'll see both of those pull away just before launch.
This is the
what about the ignition sequence? We switch on the engines on Soyuz.
This is the first time I've hosted a rocket launch stream. So, yeah, I'm not Dr. Pamela, but I might be able to answer questions. Oh, look at everybody going out to the outside to look. That's amazing.
These are all the guests in the Mission Control Center coming out to have a look at the launch with their own eyes.
That observation deck is so cool. It is, and I was thinking
we are
about
1 minute
this
to launch, and we're live at the Arianespace Center. We're launching.
This versus the down underground place that the Roscosmos has, and all I can think about is how much that must rumble when a rocket takes off.
Jungle, the 8th launch this year from the
Things are
CSG.
happening,
There goes that
guys.
mast.
Attention pour le début de la séquence d'allumage lanceur.
Our best wishes to the teams.
Things are happening.
Top, I0 moins 20 secondes. Lagage du mât VKM, allumage triétage à tous les vidéos. Attention au décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, unité, top décollage.
Wow. And I'm sure they're running down through a whole checklist of things. No, it's doing a really good job.
We are off. MetOp-C has started its journey, flying through the very atmosphere that it's going to be sending us information about. We're heading out north over the Atlantic. And he's telling us that everything's going according to plan. Of course, METOP is going to orbit our planet north to south, so we are going to deliver it on a polar orbit. We're burning 20 engines at the moment. We've got 4 on the core stage and 4 on each one of those boosters.
Stabilisation correcte du lanceur.
Stabilization is correct. And the boosters are doing all the work. They only burn for 2 minutes, but that's long enough for Soyuz to escape the pull of our planet.
This is a
They
really
are delivering
long 2
80%
minutes.
of our thrust right now. Their job, to get us away from Earth's gravity. Gravity, of course, makes us stick to our planet, but it stops us from flying off into space, but it also makes it very hard for us to leave. So we need an awful lot of firepower to do that. And we can see those 4 boosters now being jettisoned.
Séparation du premier étage.
And we have confirmation there from the Range Operations Manager. So we saw those with our own eyes, and we're now burning the main core stage, known as the Block A, and it's the engine that you can see there.
Stabilisation correcte du lanceur.
And the stabilization is correct, all going according to plan from the Range Operations Manager there.
Ooh,
Altitude on
that's
the
a
bottom
nifty
left of the
graphic at the bottom
screen,
of the screen.
85 kilometers above our planet. The distance, if we were to draw a straight line across the Earth from the launch pad to the position of the launcher, 131
Paramètres du système de commande du lanceur conforme à l'attendu.
kilometers. And our speed on the bottom right, that's kilometers per second, of course, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, per second. So we are already traveling incredibly fast, and we'll be getting even faster. Amazing to see such beautiful pictures of the launcher. So those clouds actually managed to move away just at the right moment.
It doesn't look like much, but oh my goodness. Look at how much that thing's
Coming
speeding
up
up.
to the scheduled moment for the fairing to be jettisoned. The fairing being the front, the nose, the tip of the vehicle that we saw earlier, housing the satellite and protecting it from the rigors of the launch, things like acoustic vibrations at launch, which are very loud, of course.
Séparation des 2 demi-coiffes.
And we have separation of the fairing, which comes in 2 halves, which is why he said separation of the 2 halves of the fairing.
Which you can't even see that pop up on the screen at all. It's so far away.
So our satellite is now exposed to space, and we are officially in space. We are
Les paramètres au bord sont conformes à l'attendu.
coming up to 150 kilometers above Earth. We actually arrived in space when we reached 100 kilometers, which is the official Kármán line, the official boundary with space.
Such an exact
Still
number.
following the launcher with our cameras, which is quite remarkable to see it now. 4.5 minutes going deeper and deeper into space.
It's becoming such a tiny block.
Our trajectory on the top
tiny
right-hand side of the screen is the trajectory of the launcher, the planned trajectory, and the cross is the actual position of the launch vehicle. We're starting to get further away. You can see there we're now 175 kilometers high, and we can still see the dot of the
Séparation du
engine.
deuxième étage.
And we have separation there, confirmation from the Range Operations Manager that we have now separated the second stage of our rocket. Picking up speed, close now to 4 kilometers per
Stabilisation
second.
correcte du lanceur.
That would be hilarious.
All going
not
well, all going
hilarious, but
according
awesome.
to plan.
They still look
here
nervous.
we have the Flight Directorate. As I mentioned earlier, we have a number of different desks in the Mission Control Center. This
It would be
is
super cool to see
the
that.
Arianespace top management team. They take all the final decisions in the event of any unplanned situations. And here as well we have the joint Russian and European teams sitting shoulder to shoulder. So we can see our satellite for the first time. There it is, MetOp-C at the front. So if you've never seen a launch before,
Starman would
to the
totally
left-hand
get stuck at
side
the
is
red
what
light.
remains of the rocket. Then it's sort of in the middle, just after that white fan section, is the frigate upper stage, the gold round circular structure. And then right at the front is the satellite, and it's all folded up, of course, ready to unfold when it separates. We've launched a lot of satellites for EUMETSAT. Let's take a look at them.
3, 2, 1, feu, allumage, décollage.
So I'm going to turn this down a little bit while I talk over it. But I'm looking further on down this list, and MetOp-A was launched in 2006, and MetOp-B was launched in 2012. I wonder if they really did plan on these to be 6 years apart. It almost sounds like it's going to be at least another 6 years before they put up the next set of weather satellites. And yeah, satellite origami, because origami is awesome! Ooh,
So there you have
night
it.
view.
Arianespace has launched all the satellites for EUMETSAT. Those were the 12, and today, of course, we are launching the 13th satellite, MetOp-C. It's en route right now to its final slot.
What
in
always
space.
gets me about
And there on the right-hand side, you can see we
the
lifted
tech
off
that
from
goes
the
up in
Arianespace
these
Centre
satellites
on the
is that
northeastern coast
some of it is so
of
old
French Guiana,
that you
and
can't
Galileo
just buy it off
is
the
the name
shelves
of the
anymore. They actually go to
station
eBay to find
here
bits and
at the
pieces when they need new
Arianespace
bits and
Centre.
pieces.
We're using telemetry to track the vehicle during the flights.
And space is also why we have like super error correcting RAM. Yeah, space!
Send that data to the teams here at the Guiana Space Centre. And this allows Arianespace to monitor the flight in real time. It also means they can do an evaluation after the event and check out how it all went and see if they need to make any adjustments for future flights. So it's a very important process. And our telemetry stations tonight are Galileo. We saw that. That was the one in French Guiana. And then we'll be picking up the signal next in Bermuda in the Caribbean. Then we've got St. Hubert. That's in Quebec. And New Norcia.
Well, I'm glad you're
Australia.
feeling much, much better, because I know that was literally a pain.
This is the scheduled moment when we pick up the signal in the tracking station in Bermuda.
They did a really good job with these 3D models.
So the ground stations...
de la télémesure par la station de Bermuda.
And we've just had confirmation of that there from the range operations manager. Our confirmations take a little bit longer to get to us. The ground stations send the information back to the CSG, the Guiana Space Centre, but it has to go via Moscow to be validated first, so it can take a little time for it to get from the launcher to us for confirmation. That's the scheduled moment now for the engine shutdown.
Séparation patriote.
Separation there
The speeds finally
of the
stabilized.
third stage. And we're looking at these CGI images, computer-generated images, which are showing us what the experts have planned and calculated to be happening to the launcher and the satellites.
I mean, it makes
So
sense.
they are
It's a
a
Soyuz
simulation of what's happening in space. So we're looking at the frigate upper stage, that round circular structure back there. It's what's left of the launch vehicle, and it's getting ready to switch its engine on. We're in what we call the pre-burn phase. It's giving a quick burst of acceleration right now and pushing the fluids back into the back of the tanks to make sure there's enough propellant to ignite the engine properly. It's a little bit like when you press the throttle in the car and you get pushed back against the seat. And this is the scheduled moment now for the frigate upper stage to switch on its engine, which really signals the next phase in the journey.
You can see the speed jumped up again.
When frigate takes the wheel. It's a bit like an orbital taxi driver. Its job is to deliver our satellite to its drop-off point in space.
Premier allumage, étage frégate.
And he's confirmed that we now have the first ignition of the frigate upper stage's engine. Some of the teams here.
That eyebrow raise at the camera.
In the control center.
Nice.
If you look at the right-hand side of the screen, you can see the frigate's upper stage there. It's that round circular structure with 6 spherical tanks, which are organized in a circle. 4 of those for propellant, 2 of those for avionics. That's the sort of thing that you find in the cockpit of a plane. Flight control systems, navigation, communications, that kind of thing. And the satellite is attached using a very special dispenser or adapter. The frigate upper stage is a really clever piece of kit. It was originally designed as an interplanetary probe to travel around the solar system. And it was adapted to fly on board Soyuz, and it can switch its engine on and off up to 20 times. And that's why it's able to take its passengers pretty well anywhere they need to go. And it makes Soyuz ideal for launching all kinds of spacecraft to all kinds of orbits, including constellations and, of course, observation satellites and meteorological satellites like today.
Launching to a constellation. Does she not know how large a constellation is? That's a big patch of sky. All right.
That's our flight
Acquisition
path.
de la télémesure par la station de Saint-Hubert au Canada.
So we're now picking up the signal at the tracking station in St. Hubert in Quebec in Canada.
Hey,
it's just outside
it's
Montreal.
over you. Kind of
I
Paranor.
believe that the aerospace industry is very important there. The Canadian Space Agency has its head office in the borough.
She's still enthusiastic about it. Little thumbs up there.
I've been hearing how MetOp-C is going to be providing important and accurate weather predictions from 12 hours to 10 days in advance. And it's going to give us vital information about the composition of the atmosphere, the oceans, the land surfaces.
Fonctionnement nominal du moteur.
Very important if we are to get a handle on how our planet's climate is changing, which I'm sure you all agree is absolutely paramount now as we see temperatures rising. Frigate getting ready to switch its engine off, and that's what it looks like. This is the scheduled moment for the engine shutdown, for the onboard computer to send the command.
That moment, or that
and this
mention of temperatures rising.
Next phase of the flight is known as the ballistic phase. That means that we have no propulsion. Ballistic means traveling without propulsion and coasting without the engine. Sometimes we have very long ballistic phases, but for this flight it's not too long. It's about 38 minutes. And we're going to take a break in a second to...
I'm going to blame it on the ISP,
while we wait for the ballistic phase. During that time, we will have a planned gap in visibility
other
of the
than
ground
rocket
stations.
launches, which,
that means
how
that
dare
we are
them?
scheduled to lose.
Extinction du moteur frégate.
And we have confirmation there that the engine has indeed switched off. So, yes, we'll have a scheduled gap in visibility. That means that we are scheduled to lose the signal at the tracking station
manœuvres d'orientation.
in St. Hubert. We've started the orientation manoeuvres. So we'll have a planned gap for about 20 minutes after launch, and then we plan to pick the signal up again at the station in New Norcia 31.5 minutes later. And that means that we won't be getting any information from the launcher during that time. Perfectly normal. It's all part of the plan. So, going to take a break. We We'll be back at 10:24 Kourou time, 1:24 Greenwich Mean Time, and 2:24 in the morning in Darmstadt. Let's look at the launch again. We lifted off 15 minutes ago from the pad here at the Guiana Space Center. This is what it looked like. See you shortly.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of dropped frames, and I don't know why. My bitrate kind of dropped too. I don't know. So there it is, folks. It launched. It's in space, and now we won't know anything for like 20 minutes. ... Which is a little terrifying. But, you know, I suspect it was just a... I suspect my freeze was just a speed bumper too. So, the dogs have been good. They haven't barked at all. So let me pull OBS back up. And they have been very good. So, you know what we do for good doggos? Do we know what we do for good doggos? Might help if I actually had the right scene up. Buffer the decks. Hey, look. Doggo, sit. No. Hey, you. Hey, Puck. The dogs have been good. So, it launched. Now we're waiting for like 20 minutes. I was given no instructions for this time. So, yeah. We're gonna do the usual toss Cheerios at the dogs. Because they have been very good and very, very quiet. Which I am slightly amazed by. And now they have in French across the bottom, which I am completely amused by. Oh wait, they have both French and English. Good. Awesome. So yeah. I'm not quite too sure what to do. So, I guess I'll leave it up to you guys. Do we want to hang out for 20 minutes and see what everything's gonna look like? Do we want to play 20 minutes of Astroneer? Or do we want to call it here? Because this whole, like, 20 minutes of nothing, I guess I was not expecting. They're like, oh yeah, this is completely normal, but I'm like... Alright, I guess it's up in orbit. I guess there's only one more thing that could go wrong. I guess there's more things that could go wrong. Here. You guys aren't quite in frame. Have more Cheerios. for the dinner break in the middle. Like I said, this is my first launch. Alright, so I think we're gonna call it here. Because I think it's gonna go okay from here. And everything else they're gonna show from here is...
Carte nominale de la télémesure par la station de Saint-Hubert et trop télémesure prévue.
I don't understand spoken French well enough to translate that, and I apologize for everybody. But yeah, I think everything's gonna go just fine. Yeah, Heptacular Raptor. Yeah, that's their treat when I'm streaming is Cheerios. You missed it when we did Extra Life. I had made sourdough crackers, and that's what they got. Voila, boom. Don't jinx it like that. Don't do it. Don't do it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it here. Launch went great. You all were great. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And if I'm feeling up to it, maybe a NASA icon launch later tonight. Maybe. I make no promises. Because that's going to be like 3 a.m. for me. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. So, yeah. Yay. Y'all were great. I'll see you next time, which, if it's not for the launch later tonight, if there's a launch between now and the 11th, I might be covering that. So we'll see. But I will definitely see you on the 11th, where we will go back to doing all the things with colorizing space images. Bye!